So I just wanted to gloss over some of the features, sort of talk about why I have a doubled-in head unit and I have my iDrive retained and I did an Android head unit. First off, the sound quality, for me, I can notice a difference. Pioneer, active crossover, aftermarket amps, aftermarket speakers. I could set it up the way that I wanted it set up. I'm happy with it. Dedicated sound system. I have CarPlay, which compared to the Android, I mean, it's just seamless. It works way better, way more responsive. Sound quality over the Pioneer is just way better than the Android, especially over Bluetooth. I can go, my main purpose of this is my MHD gauges so that I can monitor OBD2 parameters like air intake temperature, boost, ethanol content, what have you. I can also data log with this thing, and I can read and clear check engine lights on the fly. So that connects to my MHD Bluetooth dongle down there, and then I can also do the tuning right from here, right from my iDrive. But yeah, I can switch back and forth between the iDrive and then the Android based interface, which I mainly just use for MHD. Down here I had a custom 3D printed bezel made for doubled in bezel. LCI and the pre-LCI bezels are different in the way they mount the buttons, and they only make doubled in kits for pre-LCIs. They don't make them for LCI. Originally, I tried to connect the buttons that come with the pre-LCI onto the LCI connectors, but the pre-LCI ones just have way more connectors. They're an analog versus the digital connection, so that was never going to work. I tried to solder onto the solder pads of these buttons and then the buttons on the pre-LCI button panel. But it just didn't, they would like piff into dust as soon as I tried, to put it in. So I went a different route. I had this 3D printed bezel made. I mounted a laser shifter in here, and I'm having a 3D printed bezel made where my cubby went to hold just the factory buttons. On this 3D printed bezel, I added a USB-C charger, and then the laser shifter actually has a kill switch, so I can kill the laser shifter. It's also illuminated, so that's pretty cool. Show all the dimmers working. Another reason why I wanted to retain the iDrive is because it's responsible for playing all the door chimes, the warning chimes, the backup park distance control, what have you. The way that I made that work is I used this dedicated speaker for the SOS, which is unserviced and unused, down here in the kick panel, and then I mirrored one on the passenger side. And what that does is it plays all the warning chimes and park distance control beeps and all that through those speakers, and I can still listen to my music. Originally, the factory stereo does it through your door speakers, but I have dedicated amps powering those little speakers down there just to do that. Going over the iDrive relocation, I actually had to move the factory radio back into the trunk, and I mounted it up where, I'll just show you. Excuse, everything's not fully buttoned up yet, but there's my factory iDrive radio. I just removed the front bezel and mounted it inside of there. I built a custom extension harness to move all the important wires back. But yeah, basically this amp's responsible for powering the front door speakers, the rear deck lid speakers, and the subwoofers. And this amp's responsible for powering the tweeters. And then I have two more smaller amps, or a smaller amp, I should say. It's back in here for the iDrive that powers those front speakers. And then this whole mess right here, what's going on is I have an auto audio switcher that whenever I have my rear park distance beeps coming into play. Elaborate on that a little bit more. Your front park distance control beeps play through your front speakers, and your rear park distance control beeps play through your rear speakers. It interrupts whatever sound is coming through the stereo. Only on the rear channel for the rear park distance control beeps, because I don't have dedicated speakers back there like I do in the front, which play the front park distance controls and the door chimes and iDrive warnings and all that shit, and prioritizes that to play through the rear deck lid speakers. So that's how that works.